Greetings.
Yeah, that's good.
Now we're just waiting to see. Sorry about that. That's already muted. We are live on YouTube.
I've got no picture.
You got no picture?
Oh, no, it was the StreamYard that I could hear, wasn't it?
Delay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, good evening, everybody. How are we? Good evening, Lost Souls, as always. My little lovely Jenny, Gary, Missy. Who else we got in here? DJ Hertz. Good evening, mate. Matt, how are you doing, buddy? Oh, hello. What's that shaking about for? Blitzer blazing Noah. Yeah, okay. You reckon 120 seat majority? Fine. I believe Labour will win, but with what's been going on. Moo, good evening, mate.
Hello again.
Cheers for dropping in this afternoon on Resist Live. For those that don't know, I don't know how long my eyes are going to stand tonight. I've been on another live stream all afternoon, but we've been having a bit of fun. But yeah, the news today, July the 4th. Funny how it's American Independence Day you picked, wasn't it? Karen, good evening, sweetheart. Well, you don't have to use it, Blitzer. Simple, isn't it, really? Yeah, July the 4th. Well, that does mean a bit of an extra complication for us because we're away on holiday from the 28th of June. So obviously we're going to have to register for a postal vote, which is something I haven't done before. Well, I've only ever voted once before, and that was in person. But they're obviously not going to let us vote where we're going. But his little speech earlier on, Sillin's still insisting he's stopping the boats, although there's no evidence that he has stopped even one. We know there's been propaganda videos put out from the French side where they slashed a couple over the last few months, but to be honest, if mainstream media are there covering it, then it's obviously putting on a show for them, isn't it? Yes, they might not be crisis actors. They might be genuine channel paddlers. But the fact that mainstream media were there on the spot filming it tells me their setups. The Rwanda plan don't work. We know that. We always knew that was never going to work. And now he's trying to use the state of the economy. And I use that word very carefully, the state of the economy, because I don't believe what they're telling us about what is happening financially in this country is the truth, shall we say. Patrick, good evening, bro. We know how they manipulate things. Even the IMF said that their evidence showed very different to what Sunak's saying. But, I mean, to my mind, he had no option other than to call it today, especially within light of the blood scandal publication. I do believe it was only decided this afternoon because he went into a meeting just after PM's question time at 12 o'clock. They called a committee meeting straight away afterwards. So I do believe that was the reason he's called it. Missy, no, I don't believe it. He's never told the truth. And again tonight he bleated on that Labour don't have a plan. They do. Yeah, he said all along they have had a plan. Now, he's had 2 years to put some of that plan in place, and he's done absolutely nothing. He keeps saying the economy is coming down, prices are still going up, and now there's the big hoo-ha over the offshore wind farms, which Andrew Brigham brought up in the House. Resist. Good evening, buddy. Excellent live earlier, mate. Anybody that follows me, Resist there in the chat. He does run lives from his channel. He prefers to do lives to videos, although he does put out some interesting videos. And we had quite a good discussion on there today. So it's go over and sub to him. You're always welcome to join in, obviously.
I'll put the link up in a second.
Holly's already done it.
Oh, there you go.
Go on, you know Holly's on the ball. Always. But yeah, I believe he's absolutely been forced into it. If they don't win, I believe there will be a change of leader in the Conservatives. That's just my opinion. But I have been right on a lot of things over the last 2 years. Not all of them, but on a majority of them. Stuart, good evening, buddy. Hope you're well over there. But yeah, and again, the blood scandal inquiry. Well, that's pretty damning, isn't it? We know there was peers involved in the cover-up. We know there was MPs involved in it. A lot of high-ranking NHS officials. But they're saying that, yes, there has been criminal activity going on there. So why haven't they made any arrests? As I said in the video today, is anybody going to be held actually accountable? Good evening, Phil. Welcome, mate. Yeah, not too bad, mate. The symptoms are slowly subsiding a little bit, subsiding a little bit since my treatment yesterday. They didn't take a lot of blood simply because I'm going back for another round a couple of days before we go on holiday, just to basically keep the symptoms at bay till we get home. So, but yeah, I mean, the blood scandal report is absolutely shocking. Now, they did keep a lot of it very quiet. I mean, we've heard the odd bit coming in and out about it over the last few years. You need radiating again. My balls glow on their own, Ollie. No, it's not the sunglasses. It's not the screens, Gary. It's one of the symptoms of what I've got, the issues with my blood. Funny enough, one, it gives you numb big toes and aching muscles. And the other one is your eyes go in and out of focus quite regular. And they start watering, although they feel dry, they keep watering. And it's a job to focus on the chat when it's doing this. You know? We're going up to Cumbria again, Missy, where we normally go to the cottage. So we can get in a bit of sea fishing. It's fairly secluded up there, so we also get a bit of peace and quiet, which is nice. That's what we prefer.
But there is Wi-Fi.
But we do have Wi-Fi, yes. And the lady that owns the cottage did upgrade it a couple of years ago after I was moaning there weren't enough for me to run a live stream from the cottage.
It was taking you ages to upload a video.
Well, yeah. Literally, I did try to upload a few videos while we were up there a few years back, and it What normally takes me 5 minutes here was taking up to 2 hours. But because she was expanding a little bit up there, she said she was going to put the better Wi-Fi in early, which she did. So a couple of years ago, I had perfect Wi-Fi. But she does think it funny that within an hour of me getting there, the dining table in the cottage resembles my little studio in the corner here with a laptop and microphones and speakers. Under a blood red sky. Hi, buddy. Been a little while. Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Was suffering a bit last week, but I knew I had treatment due, so I just put up with it. I think it's old wires coming in from the out. Yeah, we had that problem, Gary. We were with Virgin, but the line coming in was that old. It was actually fitted by Blue Yonder. Anybody else remember them years ago? We've actually now got BT. I know people say their service isn't good, but to be honest, we've never needed their service. It's done everything we want. I do check the speed regularly, and it is constant. Good evening, Tony. Yeah, exactly, Holly. It was ridiculous. We were with Virgin. They took them over all the way back then, obviously. But we were getting shit service from them. The system kept breaking down. They wouldn't replace any of the cables because they said it's on our property, so we'd have to pay for them. So basically, we told them to fuck off and went with BT. And we get far better speed. We got full, what do you call it? Not what? Eh?
I don't know.
No. The fibre optic. Full fibre optic, twice in speed, and we're paying less than what we were paying Virgin. So.
And Virgin phoned the other day and said, if I give you the right deal, would you come back? And I said, well, the reason, and he said, when I said no, he asked me why. I said, well, when we left because you wouldn't come out and sort out an issue we had. When I told you I was leaving, you said you would come out and fix it, but that was too late. And it's still too late. So, no.
And ringing over a year and a half after we've left them, that ain't happening anyway.
Well, he's thinking our contract's coming to an end, which it will be.
I mean, she's far polite to him on the phone. Me, I just fuck them off instantly. No, not interested, go away, you know.
Well, no, because they might come back with a decent deal at some point.
Yeah, but you're still going to get shit service. You know, and all they'll do is link up to the fibre optic that BT has fitted. So we're not getting any benefits from them.
Well, that's all anybody will do anyway.
So I had nothing but issues with Sky. Now, I've heard that about Sky, Holly. I think the only Sky that I ever had was when I lived in Bristol. We had a line in there, but that was literally for the TV. Pardon me. They refused to come and pick up the box after I'd finished with them. I said, well, you keep saying you want the box back. I'd leave the house and I'd drop the keys in on Monday. I said, and after that, it'll be on the doorstep if you want it. Whether it was still there or not, I don't know. We won. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good evening. VRSK are cheap internet for folks who are looking to change. Never heard of that one. No, exactly, Moo. I'll be honest, BT are probably the same, and most of them are. Same with the mobile phone network people. They will bend over backwards and give you anything to get you signed up. But once you're an existing Cubs customer, you're a second entity to them. We've got you, you're hooked, you're in a contract, you're paying. And they don't give a shit then. PlayStation wouldn't even acknowledge us online. I wouldn't know about PlayStation, to be honest, Gary. I don't do gaming. I've no interest in it. People have tried to get me involved in it, and I've got so much going on.
We can't get BRSK.
We can't?
Nope.
Why?
Oh dear, we're not available in your area yet.
Ah, well, there you go. That answered that.
We're not planning to roll out our better net in your neighbourhood at this stage.
We won, my chief lurker. You weren't doing much lurking this afternoon. Oh, it's what you watch YouTube on. Yeah, I know you can do all wonderful things on it, Gary. As I say, I'm not a gamer, so I've never even looked into it. But I do know people have took the guts out of it, so to speak, out of several boxes, and has made up quite a half decent computer out of it. I'm not that technically in mind, and I wouldn't know where to start. So that's why most maintenance on my computer, I will do some, but only under headers instructions. Me too, Frankenstein. Yeah, that's about the era I come from, Gary, when Frankenstein was written. Written? I nearly said wrote then. Written.
The posh
side of Brum. Yeah, okay. Oh, dear. Has Brum got a posh side? Or is that the underside?
Well, I'm sorry, but where she is does not come under Birmingham. West Midlands, yes. Birmingham, no.
Yeah.
So don't give me posh side of Brum we want.
But do they actually class us here as Birmingham?
Yes.
How come? Because we're about the same distance
it's a
away.
Birmingham postcode.
I'm a
not a Wolverhampton postcode. Oh, excellent news, Jenny. I feel so rude trying to include you and you not being able to hear us.
That'd be brilliant. I mean, you know, a lot of it has to do. You're basically Welsh, Roger. Yeah. All right, boyo. I like a good sheep, me. Oh dear. Next one of our windows wants to sign me up to one and bugger off also. Yeah, and someone who you connect with, Missy, he'll probably connect to their box anyway. I mean, you know, you can live stream off a phone, but the problem is people that I know that come on streams on the phone, you've either got a choice. You can either watch the stream or you can read the chat. You can't do both together. That's why I prefer a PC, and that's why I've got this rather than use my laptop, because the laptop couldn't really cope with what I was asking it to do half the time. It could be my fault. I could have been asking too much of it, but I like to have other windows open because I get people contacting me all the time. Yeah, it's a shame, Jen, because, you know, when you do connect up, you do get involved and what have you. And it's nice to have some sort of stable connection to be able to do it. Drone, Jimmy's, good evening, guys. Ours is locked here, Gary. Born and bred here on Anglesey. crossing the Menai Straits. Used to fish up there, not regular, but I have fished up there quite a few times. It's a hell of a tide race through there. I wouldn't want to go through it in a boat, not on a flooding tide anyway. But would you believe you're saying that, Jen? You've probably never heard of the fish called a tunny fish, which is another name for tuna. The British record, and I believe it still stands, from I think it was back in the 20s, came from up there, and it was by a woman. And back then they used to fish for them in little boats, what they used to call the punts, little rowing boats. It was very, very popular. And as far as I know, that record still stands. I will have to look into it. Yeah, Jan, it is. We used to go up there to fish for the conger eels. And there was a lot of big ones caught up there a few years back. So we went after chasing the British record. And unknown to me, the one who broke the British record at the time was very, very close to home from where I was in Cornwall, because it was actually caught in Plymouth. So I travelled all the way up there only to hear the record fish had been caught back home. Stitch, good evening, my lovely. As you can hear, my throat's a bit raspy tonight, so using the old joke, yeah, I've got problems with my throat. You know, somebody tried to cut it last night. No, it wasn't in my sleep. But yeah, getting back to, I mean, we've had all these inquiries, haven't we? Basically, within a year have come out. I mean, the COVID one isn't concluded yet. And to be honest, the post office one hasn't. But after watching that silly bitch Venables give her piece today and crying the crocodile tears a few times, it seems she said there was no conspiracy to cover it up. Well, obviously, with the years it's gone on, the reports on the court cases where evidence wasn't accepted, wasn't even put in, wasn't offered to the defense or anything like that. And then she turns around and says there wasn't a conspiracy theory over it. But they knew from very early on, and they admitted it, that Horizon had been the problem to start with. And in my mind, it has been compounded by them refusing to accept the truth and trying to cover it up. All right, Gary, no worries, mate. Believe it or not, Missy, there are some very good lady anglers out there. Some very good lady anglers. Not so much in the sea fishing, although there are a few, but there are a lot of lady anglers out there, and it is becoming more popular for the ladies now as well. Personally, I think it's a good thing. I haven't seen any in any of the latest competitions. Rotten, hello, buddy. He doesn't have the patience for fishing. Nice to see you in the house, mate. But it's something that I believe the ladies can compete on a level playing field with the blokes. It's, there aren't many sports that they can, but fishing is one of them. But it is very, very expensive nowadays. Very expensive. What does the DS mean on your left wrist? You mean that, Stuart? Well, that goes back to my biker days and a biker's pub down in Newquay. it was well known for, how shall I say it, illegal substances. Now, staff knew who the plainclothes police were. We know who the investigation team were that dealt with it all down in Cornwall. And to be honest, you could spot them when they come into the bar. What I used to do, if I was walking up and down behind the bar, scratching that hand and holding it up like that, literally everybody in the pub knew drug squad were in, hence the DS. That's what it's done very roughly. It was done with a syringe needle and Indian ink in a rush one afternoon. Good. Just passed my bike test. Oh, you passed it, Rotten. Nice one, mate. They removed my entitlement a few years back because I hadn't renewed my license, renewed anything for a bike for, I think it was, well over 25 years. So on the last round of license exchanges, they didn't put the entitlement on there. They would reinstall it if I could find my pass certificate. Well, considering I passed my test well over 45 years ago, there ain't much chance of that. So I'd have to go through all the basic training and everything again to get it back. And to be honest, at my age and my state of health, it's not really worth it. It's not viable.
And I'm not sitting on the back of a bike now anymore.
No. We did have a trike set out in the back garden for a little while, but that got sold on. You know when, but I wouldn't know the dates, Rotten, to be honest. It was one of those where you got on the bike, you rode around the block one way, rode around it the other way. There was a couple of guys stood on the corners watching you. One jumped out in front of you for an emergency stop, and that was it. That was your bike test back then. That was back in the days when we could still ride 250s on L plates. But they kind of rethought that when the LC Yamaha and the Suzuki Hustlers and stuff like that came along that were capable of doing the ton in 250 form. Andy, good evening, mate.
We've almost got a full house tonight. They're all coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
Is it wet?
I believe the Rev failed his, was it last week or the week before? There's a lot more involved in it nowadays than there was in my day. Same with the card license. I mean, I've said before, my father had driven all his life in this country, but he never took a test, yet he had a full license. And it weren't until I was in my teens that he explained how he got it, because I think he was trying to stop me doing the same, because the law was the same over there, even in my youth, that you had 3 years with a provisional license, an Irish license, and then you were automatically on your fourth renewal given a full one. Well, because we used to go to Ireland every year on holiday because we had family there, my dad used to renew his license every time he went over there. When he finally got the full one, first thing he did was come back off of holiday and swap it over here for a full English one, so he didn't need to take a test. Kipper sniffer, bloody hell, mate. Hadn't seen you about for a while. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, Kipper. I mean, to be honest, those that vote for the smaller parties aren't going to make a lot of difference to the outcome, because they'll be taking votes away from both the main two. And I do believe it will be on who gets the most out of the main two still. So I still believe in my head that it's going to be a 2-horse race. Might be wrong, but Gary, I should run for PM. What's that, post-mortem?
But that's how Khan got in, wasn't it? There were too many other options that split the votes over the other options and left him with the biggest number, not the biggest percent. Well, yeah, not.
Oh, sleepy.
But it was still only what, a fifth of the votes.
Yeah, the trouble is now everybody's saying, oh, the Muslim vote's going to be the main one. Now, what people are missing on that is, yes, Khan got in, and I surely believe that was on the Muslim vote, nothing else. Now, I believe Sunak is a Muslim, but then you've got Starmer, who fought for the Muslims in court when they started coming over here illegally, helping them to stay. He's openly said that he will scrap the Rwanda plan if they win. Sunak is right with saying that Labour hasn't really got a plan. But then, as I said earlier, Sunak's had plans. He's made promises, and he's Hindu, as he should. Thank you. Sorry. I just presumed he was Muslim. That was all. But he's never acted on any of them. The only thing he's done was bring in the Rwanda plan, wasted money on that because it's a waste of time. Everything else he's absolutely failed with. And with the blood scandal being published now, there's a lot of government involved in that, and it's going deeper than what has actually been released. So, but don't forget, on the 27th of this month, there's also the vote, I believe it's in Geneva, on the WHO treaty, which is one we don't want, because that's the one that will take our sovereignty away. They can call lockdowns at any time for any bloody reason. We'd have to abide by them. The only thing they've said is we'd have to take whatever they mandate. Well, that is actually wrong by law, because as we discussed this afternoon, resist or no, a mandate is only a lawful contract if both parties agree. And a mandate can't be enforced by law unless they change the law. Now, that's where the problem starts, because we know that Roland Sunak is and will change laws to fit his own narrative. We've seen him do it. Both, Gary, verbally and written. It's in the Black's Law Dictionary, 11th edition, I think it is. He's already gone, mate. He's buggered medically, Kipper. He's only released that statement the other day, literally because there's so many conspiracy theories about where he disappeared to. But again, don't forget, Khan is balls deep in with that lot. They've got that City 40s committee, whatever it is, and he's the chair of that, which is the 15-minute cities that they keep trying to push. So Khan is balls deep in that. Did he eat the bugs? Well, I reckon he is a bug. But you've only got to look at the way he dresses sometimes. He looks like one of them super criminals from the comics, doesn't he? And the films. Wants to take over the world. Buy bunkers in New Zealand. Gary, you'll be surprised at some of the suppressive laws they've actually got in New Zealand and Australia. Some of their laws are a lot stricter than ours here. The thing is, sure, it's everybody calls it the jibby jabby and says the jibby jabby is bad, this, that, and the other. We discussed this afternoon on another live stream. Most of what they're bringing out now that they're saying they've got this cure for that and that cool cure for the other, most of those cures that they're putting out are based on the mRNA, the same as the jibby jab. What does that tell you? And as we've said before, they keep saying they're trialing these cancer drugs. Well, even if they add something to cure it, they're not allowed to advertise it, believe it or not, by law. Under the Cancer Act, Weewood might put me right on this. I think it's the Cancer Act 1939. Does that sound about right? Switzerland, we won. I don't know what it's like now where they've got all their immigrants there, but every single citizen that was Swiss had a place in a bunker.
Yeah, 1939.
All new communities that are built, new housing estates, they have to incorporate a bunker for the amount of people that they're building properties for. Thank you, Wee One. Yeah, Heather just checked on it for me. I was right. You know what my memory's like. But yeah, Switzerland has started. They did that back, I think it was before, or was it just after the war? But yeah, they every new town, every new area that's built, they actually have to have bunkers. But like we say, they've also, it was before World War II. Yeah, I had a feeling it was, but I wasn't sure. But, you know, they've always been more or less a neutral country. Although, how they can call themselves neutral when they were holding, I don't know whether we can use the word on here, I suppose, being as it's in banking terms. They were holding gold and monetary items for the Nazi Party. A lot was never found after the war, and a lot wasn't withdrawn. So I still believe they have a lot of funds from that era. Yeah, but it is a very mountainous country. It's quite beautiful, actually. I've never actually been to Switzerland. I've been to Sweden, but never actually Switzerland. But look, I'm telling the truth. Cheers, Rob. But yeah, again, with a lot of the artifacts from all over Europe, a lot of them still never been found. Yeah, there's conspiracies about them being sealed up train tunnels, although a lot of them have been checked. Yes, Austria is very nice, Lost Souls. Very nice. Cold at the wrong time of year, but you can still get a suntan. Yeah, the rain's only stopped in the last hour or so here, Jen. It's still spitting a bit, but it's been quite heavy most of the day. Started at about 2:30 this morning because I was awake. But I did like when we used to fly down to Italy. Obviously, you got to fly over the Alps. And it was amazing because, you know, everything was so far below you. because the Alps are so high, they actually came up to more or less meet the plane. And you could see all the individual little villages and the snow caps and stuff like that. And from the air, it looked absolutely beautiful. Germany, not so much now, Holly. We did do a tour of, I think, was it 7 or 10 days, just riding around Europe on the motorbikes many, many moons ago. But the road laws have changed over there now. And they've changed again very, very lately, believe it or not. France, a lot of people that are going to go over there on holiday driving are going to find themselves with instant fines, because you need a sticker on your car to say that your car complies with certain emissions. I don't believe you can get them here or get them in advance, but they will stop you and fine you €1,000 if you haven't got this sticker on your car. Yeah, my sister was stationed over there for a few years, Tony, because I ended up with one of the emergency medical packs that you have to carry in your car. Otherwise, the paramedics won't treat you at the roadside in the case of an accident. You get, it's quite a big medical pack, actually. It's got sutures in it, certain drugs, syringes, more or less everything they need to treat an accident scene. Germany's another camel lane. Yeah, but see, that was another thing that people used to believe about Germany and the Autobahn. Once you go out there, speed, unlimited speed on the motorways and that, it's not, and it never was. It's only on parts of it. But I've got to admit, the German roads, the way they're constructed, are some of the best and safest in the world. You know, they've all got proper drainage. They're all angled slightly so water doesn't sit on them. But they will class certain types of driving as dangerous at speed. So you have to watch out over there. But I haven't renewed my passport now for well over 15 years, and I've no intention of doing so.
There's no point unless you're going on your own.
Yeah. Ticked off the bucket list last night, Northern Lights. We've got no chance here, Bleach Demon. We've got too much light pollution. We've got houses all round. We can't even see the horizon. So, Sue, good evening, sweetheart. But yeah, neither of us have got any intention of going abroad. Heather doesn't like the heat. I don't like it when it's too hot, to be honest. You've never been to Stonehenge, Holly? Mind you, it's nothing like it used to be. You can't actually get near the stones anymore. It costs you a fortune to park there. And it's just a commercial enterprise now with some old rocks. This is in Scotland. Epic place. Can't say I've heard of it, Gary. Good evening, Craig. How are you, buddy? Mrs. Fluffy Bunny. But yeah, I did a bit of traveling in my younger days, but I prefer to stay at home now. Not for much longer, Stuart, if they have their ways, mate. They're on about building a tunnel through the landscape there on the 303, so people can't see it from the road. when they made it all bypass and that, they did stop people parking along there, so you could go and see it for free. But yeah, it's a shame. I mean, I've been up there several times. Used to ride past it regular, going down to Cornwall in the early years before I moved down there. I didn't like the motorway, and the 303 was a nice, easygoing drive. They did put a load of speed cameras along it, but even then, the speed limits they'd set, it was still a nice ride. You know, you just take in the views as you went.
I'd love to have gone and visited again, but last time I was anywhere near it, I was with some bark that wouldn't do a detour on the way home from Cornwall.
Yeah, but it was a long detour off the motorway up that way.
Bothered?
Especially coming back this end.
Bothered?
Because you have to come back across the Berkshire Downs.
It's closer than going there from here.
Well, yeah. But it would have added probably 2-3 hours to the journey.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. But, you know, it's, if you're interested in that sort of thing, it's worth going. Avebury is far more publicly accessible. We used to go and party over there, a little pub. I can't remember what it was called now. Little pub on an elevated piece of land. If you had any pagan beliefs. No, Rob, I don't do religion of any sort, mate. Certain religions I respect for what they believe, for their beliefs. I could say that my moral compass is based on certain religions, but not all of it. But as far as religion goes, it's done nothing for me. I respect a church when I go in for a wedding or a funeral. That's about it. The only time I've ever been in one outside those two events, we did actually get asked to leave because it was the Christmas Mass and we were pissed. They tried to give the communion. My mate just swallowed the whole goblet of wine that they offered him. He just grabbed it out the guy's hand and just necked it. And some of us were trying to sing while they were giving a sermon, and that didn't go down too well, so they asked us to leave. Good evening, James. How you doing, buddy? 240 miles to Cornwall, it's good enough. Yeah, it used to be, James. It used to be. I mean, I haven't been down the A30 for many a year now. Whenever I went back to Cornwall, it was straight down the motorway. You know, it was a bit different when you were on the bike where you could take in the sights and what have you. Who we got there?
Evening, Palm.
Yeah, no worries, Resist. No worries, mate. I mean, yeah. I mean, I've always said if someone's got religion and they get something out of it, a bit of solace, you know, a bit of peace out of it, or even a bit of companionship, then absolutely fine. You know, they're getting what they want from it. But to me, any religion doesn't offer me what I want. They don't like heavy metal music being played, loud motorbikes. But on saying that, good evening, Tony. On saying that, Rob, Heather is a white witch, and she did do. We've got a couple of rings that we both wear, and she did do a service over them. But yeah. Yeah, the day I moved from Cornwall, Jen, I literally halved my hours and trebled my wages. That's how bad it was when I was down there. You know, if I weren't out on the boats, I was doing building and roofing during the day, working the doors on the pubs and clubs at night. And I was still made a lot less than I did once I'd moved back up country. And to be honest, I was earning better money before I moved down there, but I like the area, I like the people. And it was actually nice to, as Craig would tell you, it takes a lot as an Englishman to go to Cornwall and to be accepted as an honorary Cornishman, which a lot of the lads did get together and actually said, no, you're an honorary Cornishman. And that meant a lot, And that's why when I do eventually go, I am being cremated and I am going in the sea off of Cornwall. Heather knows this. She's perfectly happy to arrange that.
No, I've told you I'm going up to the Lake District and you can fucking swim from there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, that's better than going in the Thames and finding your own fucking way to the sea, isn't it? Oh, no, there was a Severn, wasn't it? You were going to take me over and throw me in the Severn.
No.
Find your own way.
I'm taking you where I know I can get to the beach.
I mean, I'm saying that, Rob, I do, you're saying about Odin there. I did look into the Vikings simply because I used to make some leather knife sheaths and someone asked me to put some Viking symbols on it. So I did look through the Viking compass and obviously the favourite one everybody knows about is Logi. But he wasn't always the god of mischief. He was originally the god of fire in the Viking scriptures. Patrick, I'm going in the green bin. we haven't got one. We won't pay for one. Oh, good night, Irene. Yeah, with a concrete block round my neck. Hi, loafer. But yeah, mine will be one of these, no service, no nothing of that. I don't want anybody shedding a tear over me. It's just cook me and get rid of me. Those that want to remember me will, those that don't won't. Simple as that. But I do like the idea of a Viking dying with his sword in his hand. I do like that idea.
I'll make sure I wrap your hand around the blade, the handle then.
You will?
Yeah, of the blade that I stick in you.
Excuse me. Mrs. W with a twist. You do know threatening violence is a no-no on YouTube, don't you? And don't forget, YouTube doesn't understand humour. Well, I was going to say they could put me on a pike the wrong way round so the world can kiss me arse as I'm carried down that way, but... Rob said he'll have a drink for me with his axe in his hand. I did actually make a Viking sax. That is pronounced Zax, but it's spelt as sax, S-A-S-X, which was a very common Viking knife with the shape of it. It was used in battle and they were also used as utility knives for cooking. Very nice mixture for the same knife, but there you go.
Good at killing people.
They're very good at killing people. That's what they were designed for.
I'll ask Carl if I can borrow it.
The slash on the end of the blade is facing downwards. So as you push it in something, it forces the cutting edge down, makes a wound bigger.
Know how you're dying then.
Who shall pull us from the stone and anvil the true knowledge, NG, of Britain? Actually, I got a picture somewhere. One of the times when I took Heather down to Cornwall, we went up to Tintagel. It was too much of a walk for Heather to go over to the castle, but we went over to the hotel on the adjacent headland, and it is called the Tintagel Hotel, actually, and I knew it quite well because I used to fish that area. But we went and asked if we could park in the car park for a little while so we could take a few pictures and that, and they were absolutely fine. And just outside the front door, they've actually got a lump of granite with a sword stuck in it. And it is an appropriate sized and shaped sword. I don't know what happened to the pictures. It was...
The ones I got are upstairs. I will show you some of them.
You've still got that one, have you?
Oh, I've got some of that trip. I can't remember that one in there, but I wouldn't have deleted it.
Yes, Holly, but I've actually got Psycho on my arm. Look.
Unless it was on your camera and I didn't swap
That's
it
the
over.
one, Stuart. Fair plays to him. He turned down every bit of money he was offered to house the immigrants in there. Adrian, hello, buddy. Hope you're keeping well, mate.
Long time no see.
I've got a couple upstairs, Holly. One of them has actually been shaped. I reshaped the head on it to not quite to a bearded axe, but to a more Viking-like shape. I keep meaning to engrave it. I might get round to it one year. Well, I say engrave. It'll be electronically etched with a battery. I did have some designs worked out for it upstairs, but I haven't seen them for a while. So I used to do them on knife blades for people. Can't be trusted with a spoon. I'm not allowed an axe. Well, yeah, Angry Murder Midget, an axe, kind of says it all, really, doesn't it?
Does sound like a dangerous combination.
But yeah, the Tintagel Hotel, there's a pathway walks down the side of it to a rocky outcrop. We used to regularly fish down there, and we used to have permission to park at the hotel. And it was at the time, I believe there wasn't many of them in the country. It was a dry hotel. They wouldn't have alcohol there. I want an axe with Dragged of York Vic on it. Or should that be the Dragon of York or something, Rob?
Or is that one of these Game of Thrones?
Thus, the axe with the words help springs to mind. Oh dear. Well, we've kind of gone off all the news now, haven't we? But yeah, from the post office inquiry and the blood inquiry onto axes and I did have quite an extensive knife collection at one point. I haven't got as many now, but I do have some nice ones still. Obviously, I've got my bushcrafting knives, but, you know, I don't go bushcrafting anymore. I physically can't get up there. Warrior of York. Yep. Okay, Rob, I get that now. Oh, Game of Thrones. Yeah, never watched that, me. Yeah, there was a few about Stuart. There was a few about, mate, but they actually advertised as an alcohol-free hotel. I believe the owner was foreign at the time, but they seem like nice people. I don't actually know the guy that owns it now, but I still admire him for turning down the channel paddlers, as I call them. And he was adamant that no matter how much they offered, he wasn't going to have it. And it was a good thing because it would have absolutely killed Tintagel. I don't know whether any of you have been there, but it's such a lovely little village as it is. I wouldn't call it a town. They would absolutely decimate it. Absolutely. I mean, you look at the post office, it's old slate roofs, and it's a beautiful area, but it's gone a little bit more touristy now since they put the new bridge across to the castle. Yeah, in fairness, that's given access to a lot of more people because it was a hell of a stank to walk down the hill and up the other side to get to it. But now, they got wheelchair access across to it, although you can't get round a lot of it with a wheelchair, but the access is there. It's just a shame they made it such a modern looking metal horrible bridge. But that's modern world, isn't it? They do it everywhere.
They made it to last, not look pretty.
Well, yeah. And I don't know whether there's still ongoing excavations over there as well, or there was a few years back. I need to go back to Harrogate for a steak. Oh dear, what did I press then? Oh, I'm still on. I was still on full screen from when we were messing around with it earlier. Oh well. Yeah, sure. The old steps. But this is the issue with a lot of places in Cornwall and Wales. There are a lot of beautiful places you can go and see, but the access is absolutely ridiculous. The ones that you can drive to, the parking's ridiculous or non-existent, I should say. Even a lot of places down in Cornwall now, it's more commercialised than it's ever been. To me, it's the wrong way to go because then you're reliant. Your town, your village becomes reliant on tourism. Desert Fox, good evening. I know who that is now with the... you learned to spell it right. Yes, Scar, good evening. Clovelly is a nightmare. And the worst one, Clovelly is in Devon, isn't it? That's not Cornwall. Is Port Isaacs, where they filmed Doc Martin. Now, if you ever try and drive down there, you can drive down to it easy enough. Getting back is a bit of an issue. And the streets are that narrow. You can't pass each other. There is a bit of a one-way system, but when we turned up down there a few years ago, the road was blocked because of roadworks. And turning round in a single-track road with doorsteps and front doors literally on the road, it was a bit of a job. I don't know whether you can still park on the beach down there at low tide. You used to be able to, but that was more or less the only parking down there. Yeah, it was that steep going up the hill, Gary. You had no chance, mate. And if we'd have had anything bigger than the Ford Focus at the time, we probably wouldn't have been able to do it.
It wasn't the Focus, it was a hire car.
Was it? I thought that was when we took the blue Focus down.
No. That was the hire car.
Oh, that shitty little Chevy thing.
Yeah, because you've never returned the Focus round in that bit.
No, true. Dave, good evening, matey. Nice to see you in here. Perranporth is very commercialised now, James. Lou is going the same way since they put the new light at the end and reworked all that. But yeah, Lou is still a functioning fishing port, basically, as it was. And still. Oh, you're talking about what's the name of Thrones? He's just got out of Facebook jail. So you got an honour badge then, mate. Oh dear. Oh, that's Resist's fault, the yawning. I've been on his live stream all afternoon. I didn't get my kip. And I was knackered after yesterday. It was, although the lovely Mrs. W gave me a lift up there to the hospital. So I only had to walk one way, but that did actually wipe me out. But, oh, yeah, I was going to talk about that, wasn't I? Because, obviously, because I worked there for 10 years, I know a lot of the nurses and staff up there. In particularly some of the older nurses that were there when I worked there. Now, most of them had been there through all the blood ordeal, the blood scandal when it was all started and stuff. And so I decided I was going to ask some of them, put a few questions to them. Now, a lot of them didn't know about the dangers of the blood. They weren't told. One or two did look into it and did actually find that some of the patients were at risk. And off their own backs, they did inform the patient that they were taking a risk. Now, this was mainly over the factor 8, I think it was, for the haemophiliacs or whatever it was. They did find out themselves that there was dangers with it, so they did point it out. But if they got caught doing it or heard doing it, they were sacked instantly. So most of those that knew didn't, but the rest of them were blissfully ignorant. They didn't know they were putting any patients in danger. And knowing the ones that I do up there, I believe they wouldn't have done. If they'd have known, they would have probably spoke out. One or two of them, I did ask some time back if they would come on camera and talk about their experiences during lockdown and the pandemic. And most of them gave me the same answer, that they're not far off their retirement. And obviously they didn't want to lose their pensions by being caught out as a whistleblower. But yes, Dave, it is do no harm. But those that were administrating it, not knowing, you know, as far as they were concerned, they were still honouring their oath. I mean, a lot of it, how deep it went and how far it went, I didn't know until this report was released. I hadn't seen anything on it for a few years. It had all calmed down, and I presume that the government knew who was infected and they'd given them compensation. Well, obviously now it's been released that they didn't.
But it's like everything, it disappears out the headlines. You forget about it. You presume it's all over. Same with the post office.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's, no, we've just been ignoring it for 40 years.
Well, everybody thought the post office issues was a computer glitch that they wouldn't admit. But obviously, with the way that's turning out now, it goes a hell of a lot deeper than that. There were cover-ups. They knew exactly what was going on. And my opinion on that is there are also judges and courts that should be held accountable for their actions on some of the cases that were brought. As I said earlier, because a lot of evidence wasn't allowed. A lot of evidence that had been requested wasn't provided. So the courts couldn't make a fully informed decision on a verdict simply because not all of the evidence was in front of them. And most of the evidence that was hidden was evidence that people had got themselves against the post office and other entities, but they were never allowed to present that evidence in court. This has all since come out. Obviously, it's still an ongoing inquiry. I believe what they're doing now, because they've already got the results, they know what the outcome's going to be. All they're doing now is making it public, but making the people involved tell the story. All right, Rob. Good night, mate. Cheers for dropping in, buddy. No, Gary, there wasn't. And that one, I do believe the Education Authority, if any of those head teachers and school board members are still alive that was involved in testing the kids with the blood products and stuff, I believe they should be in court, and they should be in court straight away. Absolutely. And not just for doing it without parental consent, but the fact that they knew they were putting those kids in danger. Yeah, Gary, I believe there should be a lot of court cases come out of this. Whether there will or not, I don't know. I said in yesterday's video, there's a couple of peers that were involved in covering a lot of it up. And I believe they should have their peerage removed. Any MPs that were involved should immediately be removed from Parliament and never be allowed in there again. But they cover their own asses, and we know that. We've seen it too many times. That is one law that, in fairness, Roland did talk about. Whereas any MP that's been arrested for a crime should be removed from the House. Absolutely. Oh, they'll try everything, Dave. They'll try everything, mate. We know exactly what they're like. None of them can be trusted. Okay, Andrew Buggan is standing up and speaking out now. But there again, he's not whiter than white. He was involved in a few things in the past. And I'm surprised nobody has brought any of those up. But at the moment, he's the only one that is, in one way, trying to hold them to account. In all ways. Today, I think it was, his one today was about the offshore solar wind farms for some reason, floating wind farms, and about how much they're paying for them. Oh, absolutely, Tony. With the power they hold, they should be whiter than white. And any anomaly,
anomalous,
anything strange, they should be removed. I mean, these are the people that literally hold life and death in their hands. Obviously, over the last couple of years, we've seen more of the latter from them. They've actually tried to dismantle our health system. They've more or less brought our financial system to its knees. They've created an extortionate amount of health issues, and not just mental health issues. Anonymity, some words I have trouble with, Jenny. Anonymity, yeah, something like that.
Anomalous.
Yeah. I even have trouble with the naming of paints at times. Sometimes the words just don't come out. Bear in mind that I am slightly dyslexic. Not just stupid.
You're verbally dyslexic as well. Your mouth won't say what your brain wants it to.
Yeah. What was it? Bigrundi, wasn't it? That was one. Mongolia. Yeah. Luckily enough, Heather's learnt my language over the years.
Chimbly.
Yeah. Who was it said that? Dave. Some famous. Whether it was a comedian or it might have been Robin Williams actually said that they should wear sponsors' jackets so we know who's financing them. Gary, I have trouble saying yes and no. Anonymity, I can say. It was Robin Williams, was it, Dave? Yeah. I mean, people used to think he was just a comedian, but some of the things he used to come out with, they were bang on point. Bang on.
He was just a genius.
Yeah. Now he's gone. There are a few people coming out to try and slag him off and ruin his memory, but
where are they? Let me ask them.
Believe it or not, one of them was one of his co-stars, Pam Dorber, off of Morecambe Mindy. She reckoned he was a sex pest, but to me, he was just somebody that enjoyed life and enjoyed having a laugh, and he would do anything to give people a laugh. And apparently, according to her, that did include running across the set naked at one point. Yeah, Rick Mail, now he did say some things, didn't he? And he did give some warnings about the future.
I've still got that film to watch.
And he was sincere when he made them. Yeah, Nanu, Shazbad. More calling awesome. Hello, your immenseness. Yeah, Gary, some of the Young Ones series, I enjoyed the odd program, but you had to have a very strange sense of humour at times. Ade Edmondson was absolutely brilliant in it. Rick Mail, not so much for me anyway. And the one that played Mike, I just couldn't stand. He was just a little dickhead. But Ade Edmondson, I could identify with his character. Absolutely back then. Yeah, but there's a hole in my shoe, Gary.
Ben's got my 12-inch single.
But there again, it was the humour of the times, wasn't it? You know?
Taking the piss out of stoners.
Yeah, but you think back then, there was a lot of stoners about. Well, there still
just
is.
Like with the punks and the they were just taking the piss out of all walks of life.
Well, the thing is, around that era, you still had a lot of all of them.
Yeah.
You had the hippies that were still about. You had the rockers that were still about. You had the punks coming out. What was the other one? Was it two-tone, that type thing? You had that coming out. And
that was quite new, wasn't it?
Yeah, at the time.
Because the likes of Alexis Isle was on there trying to make it.
He was still trying to make a name for himself.
Yeah,
then he was an alternative comedian, wasn't he?
He was trying to make his name through the.
But they did bring a lot of bands to the front.
Yeah.
What was it? Amazonian. One of the reggae bands. I'd never heard of them until I'd seen them on there. They had Motorhead on there. Obviously, I knew Motorhead, but yeah, funny enough, Dave, we were chatting about a lot of old films on Heather's Friday stream last week.
No, it wasn't. It was your stream last week.
Was it?
Yes, because I was going to do it and you nicked it.
Oh, that was it. Well, you didn't tell me. Amazulu, that was it. Well done, Patrick. Amazulu.
No, I didn't dare tell you that's what I was going to talk about because you nick it. And then you ended up nicking it anyway.
Gurdy mushroom man has locked me locked in a frying pan where fishes swim by. No, don't bother me. But yeah, we had a bit of a reminiscence session last week. I was quite surprised how many I could remember, actually.
Okay.
Because I used to be quite a film buff. Not so much now with these modern ones and the CGI and stuff and the AI, but I still prefer a lot of the old films that they show on Talking Pictures and that. Yeah, it was sure. It was very different, the humour back then. Very different. And the Zulu Girl Scar Group. But again, you know, a lot of the time I was out working in the evenings, so I missed out on a lot of stuff like that. But is there anybody there that wants to come up on the panel?
Well, you haven't even put the.
No, I was going to say if there's anybody wants to come up, I'll drop the link in.
What video were you going to share that we were testing the sound on?
Oh, it was that one off of Facebook. Where are we? It was quite an old, short one. I can't remember where I fucking which file I put it in now. There it is. Shut up a minute. Right. Right. Now, I don't know if the audio's going to play with this. That one. There we go. If I put it on full screen. Whether you'll actually hear it or not is another matter. This is me come 2030. Selling fuel takes over from selling drugs. It's still going over there. That was just a funny one I found on Faceake. I've seen it before, but you could hear it, Ollie. That's all right. That audio thing that Heather showed me actually works then.
Makes a change, me showing him something. Can I butt in?
Lodger, good evening.
Can I butt in about Seaman Bates and Roger the cabin boy? Yeah. None of those were in Captain Pugwash.
No.
None of them. It was Mr. Mate or Master Mate,
yeah,
which was misheard, Barnabas, Willie, Tom the cabin boy, Cutthroat Jake, Jonah. None of this Seaman Staines, and they weren't there.
Well, I did get introduced once on a boat as Roger the cabin boy, and everybody said, "Can we really?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They came about afterwards. It was Tom the cabin boy, and it was Master Mate.
Yeah. Over the engine. Yeah, I remember that one. But, you know, you got to think back, as we were saying last week, the Magic Roundabout, you know, you got Dylan the Stoner, Zebedee, who was definitely on something. But there was a lot of innuendo in the cartoons and kiddish programs back then.
There was far more innuendo in Magic Roundabout than there ever was in Captain Pugwash.
Oh, God, yeah. Absolutely. And, you know, there was a lot of things that the producers, the writers used to sneak in because nobody noticed.
But they were nothing compared to The Simpsons.
Oh,
and Family Guy.
The Simpsons have just been an almanac of the future, aren't they, really? With everything that they used to come out with that is coming out now. Yeah, Rainbow did as well, Stuart. Very much so. Very much so. Yeah, Disney used to sneak in a few things, Holly.
Yes, we remember Blasterbaits.
Yeah, I remember Blasterbait stories very well. He was the explosive expert.
I like the one where he's talking about carrying it home on the bus.
Yeah, or when he had all the dynamite in the fucking sidecar and the police pulled him over.
And they told him he couldn't carry it in the sidecar, so he took it off and went and got on the bus.
Yeah. But yeah, you know, even back in my day, Holly, we had the subliminal messages in the pictures.
Smoke Silk
where they used to flash a thing up for a fraction of a second. You didn't notice it, but your brain registered it.
Smoke Silk
very, very early attempts at, I would call, brainwashing. What about Knickerbrook? Yeah. As I said, that film I recommended, if you've got a sixth sense of humour, The Feebles. And there's a character in there. It's an ugly, it's a druggie, basically. I can't remember what animal he was, because they're all animals in it. And they caught him in a laundry basket. That's it. He was an aardvark. Because when they called him, he poked his head out the laundry basket and he's got a pair of knickers stuck to the end of his long snout. And they just turned around and said, "Oh, don't worry about him. That's Dennis. He's on a smelly knicker minge binge or something." Oh.
It's available in 4K on YouTube. Meet the Feebles, 1989.
Yeah. There's a gay fox. The main character is a cake-eating hippopotamus called Heidi. And a young poodle's in love with her. You got a knife thrower who is still a drug addict and keeps getting flashbacks to Vietnam. You got an Indian contortionist who gets his head stuck up his ass. It's one very sick film, to be honest.
Don't do the song.
Don't do the song, no. Don't knock the thing if you haven't took it up the ring. Yeah, you've seen it, have you, Patrick? Yeah, we went over that one last week. Desert Fox, Kes, brilliant film. And I believe it's on again either this week or next week on Freeview.
I was going to say, Meet the Feebles is on Freeview.
No, not Meet the Feebles, Kes. They're showing a lot of the old ones now, actually. Yes, Stuart, whether it was actually political or what, I don't know. But when you think that Pink Floyd and a couple of other of the rock bands of the era actually financed Monty Python's films. Did you know that? They funded The Life of Brian, and I believe they also funded the Holy Grail, Search for the Holy Grail. Strange taste, Feebles, but still good. Yeah, very strange. It's I mean, I saw it one night, James, the first time. It was when I was living down in Cornwall, actually. I got home from the pub over at Lewinick Lodge when I used to live next door to it in the flat. And it was on Sky about 2:00 in the morning. And it was the only thing I could focus on. Once I'd watched it, I was like, I've got to get that video. I've got to get that video. The lads will piss themselves at it. And I did actually get a copy on VHS, but it got played over and over again and it got ruined. But a little while back, it was before me and Heather met, a sister of one of my exes actually found a copy on CD for me on disc. And I've still got it upstairs in one of the boxes. But it is on YouTube in all sorts of weird languages. Hell Drivers, that was Stanley Baker. I do believe Desert Fox, if I remember rightly. See, that comes straight into my head. As soon as you name that film, Stanley Baker come to mind. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yum yums. Well, nobody has said they want to come up on the panel. Mrs. W can't because she's in the same room. We'll just end up with a load of feedback. Yeah, Sir James was in it. Yes.
Sean Connery.
Yeah, and Sean Connery.
Patrick McGowan.
Oh, you've Googled it, have you?
Herbert Long. Penny Cummings.
It was Baker, though, wasn't it? Stanley Baker.
David McCallum, Sid James, Gordon Jackson, Chill Island, Wilfrid Lawson, and others. Alfie Bass.
Oh, Alfie Bass. He was a little comedian guy, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. No, it wasn't black and white. It was colour, but very early colour. It was about a bunch of truckers that were hauling dynamite up and down a mountain or something.
It was made in 1957.
57, was it? Yeah, I noticed Birmingham Speedway team changed their name to the Birmingham Brummies. The Army game, that's an old one. I mean, what's that one you've been watching lately? Soldier, wasn't it?
Right. Did that on my line.
Yeah,
Big hair.
The only time I
Big
really
shoulders.
like Robson Green is when he used to do his fishing programs.
He's doing another one.
Yeah, he's also, what was it, up the Amazon or something?
Yeah.
But this is what I mean. A lot of actors are going into doing these programs like that now, documentaries. The Plank, oh, that was...
Come on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his fucking name now. Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
Come on.
No, Under Pressure. I ain't gonna remember it. Yes, the old war film, Stuart the Hill. Yes. Phil Silvers and Sergeant Bilko. He was in quite a few films before that one, actually. Desert
Yes,
Fox.
Scott. Who was the other one?
Stanley
No. Tommy
Hancock.
Cooper. No, Tommy Cooper.
Tommy Cooper.
Tommy Cooper and Eric Sykes. Also Jimmy Edwards, Ken Lynch, Hattie Jakes, Arthur Lowe.
Yeah, all the same crew. Get off your horse and
Bernard
milk it.
Cribbins.
That was John Wayne, Gary.
Stratford John.
Get off your horse and drink your milk, Pilgrim. Yeah, it was, Stuart. Absolutely.
Oh, I don't know. Some of it was rather like the squaddies I know. Sleep with anything, regardless of whether they've got a wife at home.
Hey, that's just not squaddies. Citizen Smith, yeah. Wolfie. Or Foxy.
Foxy. I used to like Foxy.
I can't remember his fucking name now. I remember it. I remember the series.
What, Foxy?
Yeah. Citizen Smith.
He was on something the other day, and
Robin.
I can never remember names, you know that.
I know it wasn't him, but Robin Nedwell came to mind, but that's not him.
No. Robert Lindsay.
Robert Lindsay, that was it. I knew it was.
He didn't he die very young?
Yes, I believe he did.
Another.
I voted Wonder Woman. Nah, I never liked her, Linda Carter. To me, she was too skinny. And she never did anything for me. Funny enough, Fox, I never used to watch Boys from the Black stuff. When those series were on, I was literally too busy working, to be honest. Working days, nights, evenings, and all sorts.
Well, he didn't die. Yeah, he's still going. He's 74, so he obviously didn't die young.
Mm. Linda.
I think he just died as an actor for a while.
Yeah, Geese a Job, I can do that. I can remember that one.
Boys from Black stuff.
Yeah, but that's what we were saying last week,
Years.
James. Comedic actors from back in that era, they were totally different to what you see now. You know, it was a totally different type of humour. A lot of it was family-orientated humour until you got to the likes of Love Thy Neighbour and whatever, Till Death Us Do Part.
But that was real life back in the day.
Yeah, and it was actually like that, and it was accepted back then.
You still get areas like that where you get people saying, I don't want a darkie living next door. That it was and still is fact.
Yeah. Yeah, there are still people like that out there. It's, I mean, actually, I can actually kind of see in our future segregation coming back, but this time on the other foot.
It happens anyway because they move in next to next to people they know. So you get areas that are full of Sikhs, full of Hindus, full of Christians, full of Muslims. You get those areas. Happens.
Yeah, that's the old joke, isn't it, Gary? Can't blame it on the unemployed. They haven't done nothing.
Bread.
Yeah. But there again, you know, you used to get programs like that would openly promote scrounging on benefits. Yeah, okay, I know it was set in an era where there wasn't a lot of work about. But actually, Stuart, on Freeview, I can't remember which channel it is now, they're actually doing reruns of it. Love Thy Neighbour. How they're getting away with it, I don't know, because
they put a warning up.
Yeah, I suppose that it'll
be
contains material that was acceptable at the time of publication or something. Yeah.
Warning: this may offend.
It ain't half hot, Mum. Yeah, there was a little bit of it in that as well.
Well, they were all white guys for a start.
Except for the Punkawalla. And Michael Bates blacked up.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, it is, Lodger. It's one of the channels I like, actually. Normally, I'll quite happily sit and watch documentaries all night. But if there is a good film on there, I will make a time to watch it.
Are you
good evening, Steve?
Mind your language.
Yeah, God, now you're going back, son.
Well, he just put it, mind your language. I used to love that Indian guy. He was good.
Yeah, but it was all about the French student, wasn't it?
For you, yeah, it would be.
I'll watch any, Gary, as long as they're interesting and they're factual.
What I liked about Mind Your Language, it was a bit like Who's on First.
Yeah.
You got that twist in the conversations where they didn't quite understand what was being said, or there was the who's on first and what's on second and I don't know's on third.
Lodger, if you go on to PBS America, they have a lot of war documentaries on there. They've rerun the whole of the series, The World at War. They've got World War One in colour or remaked and recolored. They are running World War II in colour now. But they also go into a lot of the other things. One that has caught my eye a little while back, and I did have time to watch it. It was a 5-hour documentary split into two. And it was on how propaganda was used during war. And that was very interesting. You know, we knew about the regular things like the false army, the ghost army, the spies and stuff like that, and Operation Mincemeat, where they dumped the body allegedly as he was a homeless guy apparently, dressed up as a British officer with a load of false papers in his briefcase. They dumped him off in the sea off of Sicily, I think it was, to throw him off the campaign about where the Allies were going to land in Italy or Sicily. Yeah, I've seen the whole series a couple of times, Stuart. The World at War. What amazed me right from the word go, the first time it was aired, they didn't hold back. They showed a lot of pictures and footage of the Holocaust and stuff like that. And that's what drew me to that one, is they didn't hide anything. It actually showed the horrors of war. And I think, well, it has been rerun lately, but I believe that series should be on the curriculum at school. Things like that. But obviously it won't, because war doesn't exist to those people. It only exists in other countries. Only other people are involved in them. What's going on in the chat there? Barnell flying around my field. Yes, that was the original Operation Mincemeat, the man who never was. It was allegedly supposed to be from a drowned British officer on one of the boats that was sank out in the Mediterranean. He was dressed as a British officer, chained to a suitcase that contained documents and maps and diagrams showing that they were going to land in Italy, when they actually didn't. They landed in Sicily, and then another force went up and landed in North Italy, and that's how they did the pincer movement on the Axis. Subliminal messaging. Yeah, the first subliminal messaging, Jenny, was done in theatres, cinemas. Yes, I believe he was buried with full military honours. Spike Milligan was an absolute comic genius. I mean, you know, what he'd been through. I mean, his book, My Part in Hitler's Downfall, that was a very interesting read.
But he was a good poet.
Yeah, absolutely. Wedding next July, mate. Whose is that, Craig? You're already married, mate. Or is there something you haven't told us? Me and Heather will do it at some point. As we say, we had it planned just before lockdown hit, actually. We were starting to plan something. And once that hit, then afterwards the daughter announced she was going to get married. So the onus switched to them, obviously. Both me and Heather have been married before. So, you know, we've always put the younger ones first. Never.
I've changed my mind.
You don't want to marry me now?
No.
All right, fuck you then. We'll just keep living in sin.
Yeah.
We'll just keep living.
Yeah.
Mind you, we do have a little bit of sin now and again.
When you're lucky.
When I'm lucky. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Where's my doodah down here?
Come on, Craig. Who's getting married?
Yeah, who's getting married then, Craig? For those that don't know, Craig is a very old mate of mine from down in Cornwall.
It was his wedding we went to. It was our last trip to Cornwall.
Yeah, it was actually, yeah. That was the last time we were down there when he got married. Not wrong with a bit of sin. As long as they're the right sins, Jen. Marriage, nah.
Oh,
I
God,
mean, I did have. Who was it? It was an old joke I used to use. It was at the daughter's wedding, actually. I was talking to. Oh, you're renewing your vows. Yeah, no worries, mate. She was. I don't know whether she was the caretaker of the church or whatever. But because I was setting cameras up in there, nobody else in there, I got chatting to her. And she did come out with the old line, Jesus did die for your sins. I said, no, he didn't, my love. I said, he didn't have enough pain to die for my sins. A few thorns in the head and being nailed to a fucking cross and being made to drink vinegar. Nah, nowhere near enough pain for my sins. Sorry if that offends anybody that's in there that's religious. I don't often do religious jokes, but that's one I have used regular in the past. Along with the ones, Moses was a biker. You could hear the roar of his triumph all over the land and stuff like that. Still don't talk like a Cornish fella. Was that then, my handsome? I've been accused of being a West Country boy more up here than I ever did down there. I mean, Heather's mother could never understand me. Heather used to have to interpret for her.
I had to interpret for everybody.
There are benefits to it, Stuart, but not as much as there used to be. I wouldn't know on the tax situation how that changes now once you're married. But
if one of you's got a low-paid job, part-time job, or whatever, because you've got kids, the other person can get extra tax allowance. Because that's the reason I was going to marry you, so I could get an extra bit of tax-free allowance.
Desert Fox says I'm looking for a rich widow at about 80. Smurf! Oh my God. I'll tell you what I was sad about, Craig, was to see what Skinner's became. Was that one of Steve's family that won the surfing competition the other day? Where was it? Out in America, South America or somewhere. I saw the name come up in the surf reports, but he was only a 16-year-old. It was a junior. Now, I've been gone from Cornwall more than 16 years, so the only son I knew would be well older than that now that Steve had. But because they said he was from the area and the name, I just assumed that it was something connected with Steve. I know he sold the brewery on. He split up from his missus and that, but that was the last I heard about him. I did surf for a while with Steve. He was a great bloke. That's why he used to trust us in charge of the pubs. Proper job. It only gets done directly, though, James. In fact, I have got a patch on the back of one of my denim jackets that says Cornishman, do it directly.
One next to one that says Dilliger.
No, that's on me. Cut that one.
I know.
I'll tell you what it is. It's on that Levi jacket I got. But, there's a lot of people that, especially in Newquay, there's people I'd known down there for years. Until the day I left, they never knew what my proper name was. They only ever knew me as Psycho. That's why she wants to get married then, Stuart. She wants to get her hands on your army pension.
Why not?
So basically, that's up to her whether you want her to have it or not, isn't it?
That's if he goes first.
I don't know whether there can't be any qualifying time limit on it. To be honest, once you're married, she's your spouse. So anything that you're entitled to, she should be entitled to.
Some pensions are transferable anyway. If you die young, you can name your beneficiary. I'm not certain about army pensions.
Yeah, but I don't know how to go on, being as he's a vet now.
The bits of pensions that I've got, you're named as the beneficiary if I die.
Yeah.
Before I draw it all, because it's money I've saved. You are named as the beneficiary. It ain't worth killing me for before you go any further.
It ain't?
No.
Oh, okay. So I'm not going to make a profit then.
But I don't know how it works with army pensions.
Well,
because I have a figure, which I'll probably have taken out long before I start drawing the £20 a year on it anyway.
I'm not sure, because obviously we weren't together when I earned it.
That shouldn't make a difference.
That shouldn't make any difference, sure. Once you're married in the eyes of the law, I mean, you got to remember they brought the thing in that you don't need to be married for a spouse to inherit anything you've got if there's nobody else, you know. Because I remember when they first brought that in, it did cause a lot of trouble between families, because there was people saying, "Oh, you're not entitled to anything in the will because you weren't married to them." Well, if you're named in a will as a beneficiary of any type, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're named in it, then you get it, you know. No, it's a fair question, Stuart. It's a fair question. I mean, me and Heather have always said that if we split up, neither of us could take anything off of each other because neither of us have got anything.
Yeah.
So
you are. If you die in service or before drawing your pension, your spouse or civil partner will be entitled to a lump sum payment.
Yeah, while in service.
No. In service or before drawing your pension.
There you go, Stuart. She's just checked it out. If you marry her before you draw your pension, then she would be entitled to it. I mean, you know, the laws have changed so much since I knew about all this stuff years ago that I just haven't kept up on it.
In the event of a serving person,
it probably came out wrong. No, it's a perfectly sensible question, Stuart, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I mean, how can I put it? They're making it so difficult for people to inherit things off of family now, mainly property. She wasn't his wife while he served. Don't know how she got away with that, Bleach Demon. But yeah, I mean, you know, you think about it, you know, you leave a house to your kids, you've paid your mortgage off.
You name your dependents.
They've got to pay inheritance tax unless they've taken out an insurance against it beforehand, which is possible in the way certain wills work. We had it when my gran died many years ago. In her will, the bungalow and the land it was on was left to us grandkids. But my uncle that had lived with her all his life, never got married. He was allowed to continue living in it until he died, at which point that will, it couldn't be superseded. that would pass the building on to us grandkids. But she also had the forethought to write into it that if he ever got married and him and his new wife wanted to live in it, they would have to give us grandkids the value of the bungalow at that time of the wedding. We knew there'd be inheritance tax to pay on it, no matter what. So what we actually did was get an insurance policy which covered us for any inheritance tax due on that property. So all us grandkids paid a tenner one-off fee to have this insurance policy put in place. And it turned out that if we hadn't have done, we would have probably had to have paid a lot of money out of the money that we received. And she had a lot of grandkids, by the way. We actually got 14 grand each out of it. And I was told by another family member at the time that would have been cut down to under 10 had we not taken out that insurance policy. So things like that are always worth looking into. And you can't get away with selling your property to your kids before you die if you know you go in at a real knockdown price. That is not acceptable under law, apparently. And you can't just sign it over to them. That can cause them a lot of grief in the future and a lot of financial penalties. She accused him of DV and grassing up for his unofficial gun collection. Oh dear. Well, there probably is in this country a lot of guns from the wars that are still in personal possessions, unlicensed, obviously. Some of them have been deactivated and got certificates. I know of a few of those. One person that I did know a few years ago when they had the amnesty, he actually still had his service rifle. But rather than hand it in, what he actually did was take it to the local gun shop. Well, I say local, it's 15, 20 mile up the road from here, where they could legally hold it for him and sell it for him. And he got away with that. But unfortunately, the police did destroy an awful lot of collectors' items during that amnesty. Yeah, I knew that was right, Lodger, because we've been through it. And obviously, Heather used to have to occasionally deal with things like that through her job. Obviously, income tax returns and stuff like that she used to deal with. But having been through that, I knew exactly how that worked. I wasn't quite sure on today's laws over it, but yes, you can cause your kids a lot of grief by signing your property over to them.
But Stuart just needs to make sure that somebody is down as a nominated dependent
nominated.
Yeah, if there's no nominee, it's paid to this member's spouse, civil partner, or eligible partner. If there is none, it's paid into the estate. Is the sort of comments that I'm finding. So,
yeah. I mean, you're not actually allowed, if you own a property and you've paid the mortgage off. Some people used to try and rent it to their kids for like £1 a week rent. And that was one of the reasons they brought in the fair rental laws to stop that sort of thing going on.
But it's worth checking, Stuart, because she may be entitled to it for a certain length of time if you were to die. It's just making sure they have the correct information.
Who would be best to ask about that, an accountant or a solicitor?
Well, I've Googled it, and one of the top names that's coming up is Trinity Insurance. They deal with military pensions, apparently. There's a lot of advice on their page, depending on which pension scheme. But he should have a letter or statement or something come through from whichever whoever looks after the military pensions, and there should be some sort of contact details on there. But it depends how long it's payable for after your death.
It's worth looking into, Stuart. Do some research on it, mate. As Heather just said, Trinity Insurance deals a lot with it. They've got quite a bit on their site.
But just Google Army pensions and have a look at what's out there.
Or even some of the veteran associations, they might know. I could find out. My sister would know because she did work in the Army Welfare Department at one point. But I don't speak to the bitch, so I wouldn't ask her. To be honest, I wouldn't piss on her if she was burning unless I could piss petrol. But
Of course you can.
Yeah, you know her email address, James?
It'd be better if I could give him my number.
Yeah, you can't do it on
I
here.
know I can't do it on here. Are you on Facebook?
Do you do Facebook, James? So I know you don't come up this way often now, so. Well, I haven't seen Mike up here for a while, so.
I may not be able to help, but I'm happy to listen.
Well, you may be able to help with some of your contacts. Right, do you want to come over for 5 minutes? I got a.
Yeah, I've got
nip up.
I've got Palm on. I've got him on Facebook. So
there you go, James. Get in touch with her on Facebook,
I'll
and she'll
message
you the phone number.
He'll be back shortly. Yeah, James, I can see you on Facebook. I can message you with my phone number so you can give me a call straight through. Is that account still active is all I need to know. Right. What is it about people and their sisters? Not Facebook. Oh, you don't do that. That's an old account, is it? Don't know how. I'll get you the number then. Yeah, the thing is, Stuart, if somebody's entitled to it, then it's worth making sure that somebody gets it, whether that's her or somebody else. What you don't want is money floating around that should be paid out that nobody gets. It ends up with the government then, doesn't it? We don't want that. So I could do so much here now. Still working out how to. James, you've got Mike's number and Mike's got your number, hasn't he? Can you still log into your Facebook account, James? Because if so, I can send you a private message on there and you can access that. That will get my phone number to you.
Oh, yeah.
I keep forgetting there's all the lag. Can use if needed. I'll do that because otherwise it's send a message to Mike and get him to pass it on, and we'll be going round in circle for weeks if we're not careful. Become a niche financial advocate. Yeah.
Yeah, except I don't know that much. I only know the what I've picked up. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a financial advisor. I just know what I've heard, if that makes sense. Working in an accountant's, dealing with accountants and people's affairs regarding tax, personal tax, things like that. I've picked up a few bits and pieces, but
yeah, most of it was around payroll.
If I can help, I will. If not, I'll just tell you to go and speak to somebody that does know. I'm going to let him sit back down again now.
Oh. I'm out of breath.
Oh, you shouldn't have run.
I didn't.
I'm going to get a drink.
Sometimes I just get so out of breath.
9:10. I'm going to have a drink.
No, there is quite a lag, James, between when we speak on StreamYard to it goes out on YouTube. That's why people can't always answer the questions straight away. Yes, she is, Missy. Her main job used to be payroll, sorting out wages and that, but that did include self-employed and that as well. So, and she did have some pretty big accounts.
Don't tell everybody.
Don't tell everybody I work for Lords.
Oh, excuse me, people.
At one point, Alison Moyet was a client.
Alison Moyet.
That was back in the day when I was temping.
Right, well, we've only got just under an hour to go. Is there anybody out there that wants to come up on the panel? Wants to have a say or anything? I can put the link in for you if you want. Where's your camera facing? Oh, yeah, it's looking over the top of your chair, isn't it? Hello, what changed up here? I'm on Top Chat. What have I been missing?
I didn't touch it. Didn't touch it.
Oh, it changed all on its own. I put it back on live chat earlier. And then all of a sudden I just looked up and it was on Top Chat. Sorry if I've missed any comments, people. I didn't notice that had changed. It might have been last time I refreshed it, actually.
Right.
Are you on WhatsApp, James?
He says he can use his Facebook. Can use it if needed.
Okay, yeah.
He's not even a friend. He's not even a friend, but I've messaged him my number. Give me a ring. No problem, James. I'll help if I can.
I'll tell you what, Dave, with the hassle I get on here for a small channel, I wouldn't be at all surprised at that, mate. And that's why I did that video on YouTube the other day.
I know an awful lot of shit.
Yeah, it's like me. I got a head full of useless shit, but it's like going through a filing cabinet to get to it nowadays. Something will trigger a memory from 40, 50 years ago. I mean, I can remember a few things that happened back when I was 4, 5 years old, you know. But then I'll struggle with something I did yesterday or something I did 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I always admired Alison Moyet.
Oh, that was weird.
What?
So I just looked at something on there.
Don't get distracted. Got a job to do.
Well, I'm certainly glad we stepped off of the news because a lot of that is absolutely destroying at the moment with what's coming out. But
that's why on my Friday night I wanted to keep away from that.
you're on WhatsApp, are you, James? Right.
But that's only any good if you've got a phone number. If I know your phone number and I don't know your phone
Well,
number.
He can send it on this one, can't he, to me, and then I can pass it over to you.
I've messaged in my phone. If he looks at Facebook Messenger, I've messaged him my phone number.
Okie dokie. Oh, he can email you. You can return his email. Yeah, Alison Moyet is one of the ones I never used to listen to be honest. That was the days when I was heavy into metal. Not thrash metal or anything, what we knew as heavy metal back then. It's even that genre has changed a bit over the years. What's classed as heavy, what's classed as thrash, I think it's called.
Oh my God, you do sound old.
I am bloody old. Not quite as old when in the days when rock and roll was banned, but not far off. Yeah, I'm really old school on my music, Jem. Death metal, yeah, that was another new one. One new message. Oh, thank you very much, YouTube, for actually letting me know that I'm live 2 hours after I go live. How wonderful of you. See, that's what I get from YouTube. Most of the comments on my videos I have to go looking for because I don't get alerts from. But it's not too bad because I'm sat here most of the day. I just go back and look every now and again and pick them up. You can send it to the email on my channel if you want, James, and I'll pass it over to her, mate. It's in the description of all the videos. rogersrants.2021@gmail.com.
Or mrsw@email.com.
Yeah.
But that's not on my, the only trouble with that is it's not on my phone, so I have to know I've got to go looking for something.
Slipknot, Korn, Metallica, Iron Maiden. Yeah, they were. I wouldn't class them as heavy rock, but yeah, they were definitely in the sort of era that I'm talking about. Still got Wurzelmania down there. Yeah, I sell my combine harvester, but I wouldn't give you the fucking key, I tell you. I'm a cider drinker. Well, I used to be. Yes, Scar. That is a cult biker movie. There is another one. It was an Australian film. It wasn't very well known over here. I haven't seen it for a lot of years now. It was simply called Stone. And it was an insight and made about the biker lifestyle in Australia. It wasn't strictly what I would call the biker lifestyle, but it was a very, very violent film in its day. And funny enough, they all used to ride the same bikes in it, all bar one who actually rode a British bike, which was a Norton. All the others rode Kawasaki's.
Jeffrey had a Norton.
Funny enough, if you think back on the original Mad Max film, the first one, literally all the bikes were Kawasaki Z900s or Z1000s or Mark 1s. Dennis Hopper was a fantastic actor. Yeah, and he's been in many of them. I mean, Waterworld, he was brilliant in that. What was the one about the bomber? He was in that one. Now, Sons of Anarchy, Jen, caused a bit of a storm in America. There's a big issue at the moment because a lot of backpatch clubs don't like people wearing a patch if they're not connected to a club. And when Sons of Anarchy come out, obviously all over the internet for sale was Sons of Anarchy patches, hoodies, and stuff like that. And you can actually get yourself into some trouble wearing them in America. Actually, Missy, no, it's not a bit tame for me because Anne's voice is absolutely amazing. And the accolades they got from some of the Led Zeppelin stage crew and singers, I mean, Robert Plant himself actually praised it.
Wasn't it Robert Plant that was in tears listening to it?
Yeah, I believe it was actually. Yeah. I believe it was. But yeah, Ann Wilson has got an amazing voice. The only other one that I can think of that's got the same sort of voice as hers at the moment is Sharon Den Adele. If you know who that is. I can't even remember the name of a fucking... Oh, yes, I know. Just see if anybody knows it. Yeah, Sharon Den Adele. She's got an amazing voice. She's actually the front woman for Within Temptation, Jen. A goth group. And she's just the same as Wilson. She's got the powerful voice when she needs it. She's got the range when she needs it. And she has done some good tracks. She really has. They've had a few in the charts. Faster, that was one of them. As I said the other week, Heather was actually going to buy me tickets because she knew I liked them when they played in the NEC here in Birmingham. I declined the offer. Yeah, I didn't want to go standing around in a crowd of young goths, to be honest. But yeah, going to watch a band nowadays is nothing like it used to be. Even the festivals have changed. You know, to what we used to call a rock festival now. I mean, Donington, where it went from Monsters of Rock to Download, where you were getting a lot of chart music in there and artists, and I wouldn't pay to go and see a band now. Not just because of the prices they charge, but
because of the prices they charge.
But then you got that, what's her face that's coming to Liverpool now? One that's the first billionaire singer or something. Taylor Swift. They reckon for the weekend that she's there with her tour, they're going to call it Swift Town. But, you know, when someone, a singer as young as her, can actually affect the political spectrum in a country the size of America, that tells you how much the kids follow, you know. And what was the other one? She fell out of favour with a lot of people now. There was two of them started up at the same time. One of them actually went into doing adverts as well. Oh, fuck me. Miley Cyrus. The last actual rock show that I actually went to, what do you call them? Fucking like Monsters of Rock. was actually Donington. Smiley virus. Yeah. Oh, and there was one on Facebook the other day. Same sort of thing, dresses similar to them and puts on the same sort of show. She actually had one of her fans off the floor, dragged him up on the stage and squatted over him and took a piss. Now, if that is a live show for someone that's supposed to be a pop star at the moment, well, the world has gone very mad indeed. But there again, a lot of the festivals and that I went to, I didn't get a chance to watch a lot of it because I was working security. Yeah, it was on Facebook, Jenny. I can't remember who it was. It was a female, obviously. Now, do you know what? I never actually saw Skinner live, Missy. I did have an opportunity at one point, but I missed out on it. A bit like I did with Pink Floyd. They did the gig on the Wall, the Berlin Wall. And a lot of the lads had got out of tickets for that and flew over. But because we were all at the same pub, I was the one elected to stay back and watch the pub, as it were, look after the pub. It was a biker's pub. But in fairness, in return, they did buy me tickets for the Wembley gig that Pink Floyd did many moons ago. And I got that absolutely blitzed that I spent the whole of the concert staring at the lighting and laser decks in front of the stage with me back to the stage, listening to the music and freaking out to the lasers and stuff. But one stage show I did watch was Reading when Alice Cooper was there. He did his stage shows back then used to be absolutely amazing. On the Nightmare Tour and the Return of the Nightmare Tour, the special effects and everything was mind blowing. Docklands Arena, yeah, that's after my time, Loafer. Who do I think was the best guitarist? Now that's interesting because some of the ones that I used to think were absolutely brilliant on the strings, they were at the time, but simply that was because of the types of guitar and the types of amplifiers that they had at that time.
Ingy Malmsteen.
Ingy Malmsteen, yeah. Oh God, what's his name?
I had to say that because I can't spell it.
I mean, back in the day, everybody said
Steve
Hank,
Vai,
obviously, from the Shadows.
Hank Marvin, yeah.
But you look at what the kids can play nowadays, that comes easy to them because the guitars do a lot of the work and the effects that he used to put into it. Slash, people was gone about that. Obviously, you had, oh God, his name's gone right at me. Fuck, Angus.
Oh, Angus has got to be up there.
Angus Young. But back in the day, guitarists were just guitarists. They weren't showmen on the stage. They'd stand there still and just play the instrument rather than do it dancing around the stage. I mean, everybody reckoned, oh, fuck me, his name's gone right out my head again. The colour fella. Jesus.
Hendrix.
Hendrix, Jimi Hendrix.
Could not stand that one.
Well, a lot of people didn't realise that he was a left-handed guitarist, but he'd play a right-handed guitar upside down. Joe Santorini, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and the same with drummers. I mean, everybody used to say John Bonham, but I go back to the days of like Buddy Rich, people like that, you know, when some of them only had a 4-piece kit in front of them. Jeff Beck, yeah.
I'm going to have to Google.
You know, there's a lot of difference. If you think about it, Lita Ford was quite a good guitarist. Some people say Susie Quattro, but she only played bass. So Keith Moon played the drum kit differently. Yeah, well, he was usually off his fucking head, wasn't he? That's why, Missy. You know, you look like a demented octopus when your drums is moving around, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, Johnny Depp is quite an accomplished guitarist,
Yeah.
Johnny. Absolutely. Ginger Baker, yes. Randy Rhoads. You know, Ozzy's original guitarist before he was killed in the plane crash.
Are we talking drummers or guitarists?
Both at the moment, I think.
Louis Cardenas.
Louis Cardenas.
Drummer.
Well, Bonham's son actually plays now, doesn't he, Chauffeur? Chauffeur? Loafer.
Chauffeur.
Sorry.
Chauffeur left field. Yeah, Louis Cardenas had a record-breaking drum set at the time. Drums all around 360 degrees, and he played them all. They weren't just for display.
No, I mean, Madman from the Scorpions. If you listen to some of their early stuff, he was quite a good guitarist. Knuckles Knopfler, Mark Knopfler. But yeah, it's
Gary Moore.
Played on Zeppelin. Yes, he did, Jason. Yes. Now, UFO, I used to like some of their stuff. In particular, their early stuff. But, you know, I used to listen to some real obscure bands back then. You know, Uriah Heep was one, Scorpions, Tank. You know, and they were all good at what they did in their own right. But, you know, the sort of guys they used to have back then, it's totally different to the bands you see now. Most of the bands now are all electronic. Most of them employ backing instrumentals. Session players, wasn't it? They used to call them back in the day. I mean, one of the ones that Heather introduced me to at one of her open mic nights was actually a session guitarist for, was it Iron Maiden he used to play for?
Who are you talking?
Ant. Was it Ant? Big tall guy with long hair over at Litchfield.
Tony was a bassist.
He was a bass. No, not Tony from the band. There was someone you actually introduced me in the pub that played lead guitar session for Iron Maiden. I'm sure it was.
I forget. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, one of the bassists that I had at one point played for, who did Fire? I'll give you to Burn. Who was that?
James Arthur Brown.
James Arthur Brown. He played with Crazy World of Arthur Brown. I know so many people that played with different bands over years. I can't remember.
Hello, the chat just disappeared and come back then.
That's because there was a message in the chat.
Stitch, Brian May, yeah, he actually played at an open mic night we had down in Newquay in the Bikers pub, along with Lou Reed.
How do you say who is the best? Because they all have different skills.
Yeah. It's
the same when you come to vocalists.
Yeah, I mean, you can't put Buddy Rich up against John Bonham. So, you know, Buddy Rich was the 50s, 60s, which was a totally different genre of music to what Bonham was playing, you know. But in his own right, in that type, he was an excellent drummer. Rush, I never went a lot on Loafer. UFO I was all right with, but Rush never did anything for me. Another one I used to quite often like listening to for just chilling out was Jethro Tull back in the day. Yeah, it's Deep Purple. They did some excellent tracks, Jim. Obviously, Smoke on the Water. Everybody knows the story of that one. But yeah, they did have some good tracks out there. And we did actually, who was it? Can't remember his name now, but one of them we actually met at Queen's Studio down in Monmouth. Actually, we used to meet quite a few down there. But there again, there was a big recording studio that we used to go and visit in Kidlington in Oxfordshire. You know, people used to hang around outside to meet the stars and that, or go to the local pub where they used to go after the sessions. Jojo Mayer for his jazz style, jungle old school life stuff. Yeah. Yeah, Smoke on the Water. A lot of people cut their teeth on that one. I've never played guitar, but apparently it is one of the easier ones to play. But we used to have to set the rules on the open mic nights that if you wanted to do Freebird, that was the only one you were allowed to play, because people used to go on too long with it. I can believe that of Blackmore Loafer. I can believe that of him. Just put me beer on me Rizzler. Note to self, never do it again. Do you know what, Gary? I opened my drawer on this table today. Now, this week is, what is it, the third week without a ciggy?
Oh, I'm not counting.
It's third or fourth week. And I looked in here and I've still got a pack of king size Rizzler. There's still me tin in here with a pack of the small ones in. There's actually a box with Rizzler in. A box of filters. Maybe I'll keep them for nostalgic reasons.
Papers. I think I've still got yeah, there we go. Full box of filters.
DPD them to me. Well, actually, Gary, you saying that, I did give up for a little while, a few years back. And it was literally after someone had bought me a present. I think it was Ben, Heather's son, bought me a present of 200 or 50 boxes of Rizzler, something like that. Because he smokes, I gave them all back to him. It's a bit dark in here. What's going on? Oh, hell, Jesus. Give myself a fucking suntan with that bastard. Yeah, it is, Missy. I mean, I was brought up on Irish music and the what everybody knew back then as rock and roll, um, country and western, and stuff like that. In fact, at 4 o'clock in the morning down at the Revs gaff, me and Pat were actually singing country and western songs at 4 o'clock in the morning. To a microphone going out over a sound system, which probably didn't go down too well with Rev's neighbours, but we were doing Kenny Rogers, Don Williams. The difference was I knew the words. Pap had to read them off the screen, if I remember rightly. But the natural progression was into, as we called it, heavy rock back then. The longest version that I can remember, Missy, of Freebird was, I think it was 16 minutes by Skinnerd at I had the live album, Fox Theatre Atlanta in America. I believe that was the longest version that they ever played it as a band. Yeah, ska. Sad to say, it never really did a lot for me. Ska, really the same as Two Tone, the likes of Blondie, and what have you. I wasn't really into that. Never been into rave music, although there is one techno track that I do particularly like, and I actually met the DJ that put it together first of all, which was God, I've forgotten his fucking name now. You were the one that looked it up for me, weren't you?
What?
That techno track, Dumore. It was a track called Anastasia versus Dumore. And it was a techno track based on the theme, the wedding song from Last of the Mohicans. And there was the radio version, which had vocals on it. And then there was the long version, obviously, which there's been a lot of versions done of it ever since. But Anastasia versus Dumore was the DJ, and he was Dutch. He played at one of the big nightclubs down in Newquay, and he did a tape recording of it for me, which I lost, but Heather very, very kindly found it on YouTube for me. That brought back a lot of memories. But I never used to like the techno and stuff like that, hip hop, rap. Never, ever into anything like that. In fact, it's very rarely that I listen to music at all nowadays, if I'm honest. And why have I still got that banner going? That doesn't need to be in there. I just looked at it moving across the bloody screen.
I was going to stop it, but I thought, no, I'm not playing with anything. You only moan at me.
Well, you can't anyway. It's on StreamYard and you're not an administrator in there.
I was sat in your chair for 5
Oh, when you were sat here, yeah, you could have done it then.
Yeah. But I thought I said, the havoc I could wreak.
Rammstein, yeah, not so much for me, Jen.
Don't speak German.
Yeah, I don't do languages very well. I have enough trouble with fucking English. But German and anything like that, not a chance.
Learning the lyrics is difficult when you don't speak a language.
What was the other one that you Kraftwerk, wasn't it? Autobahn, that was it. The only one that I could kind of make sense out of, But it wasn't until later years that I realised what the message was Nina, 99 red balloons.
That was going through my head. 909. I can't
If
remember.
Carol
the rest.
Vordermans is listening, I'm still available. Desert Fox, she's ruined herself with the surgery, mate. She was actually a very good friend of a boss of mine in Bristol. And he used to invite me to the barbecues, and I met her a couple of times. And when I've seen her lately, some of the pictures she's shown with her ass and stuff like that, it doesn't do nothing for me, mate. I think she was far better looking way before that.
Danke, Stuart.
What was that?
99 Luftballon.
Luftballon, yeah. I've heard it in German and the English version, but I never knew what the message was in it. And it's all to do with war. Yes, I'm not saying she's not a bad-looking woman, but when I look at something like that, the first thing I think of is surgery, not the woman. Yeah, I used to like the Scorpions, Jen. Mad Mern. Absolute head case. What was the other one? Was it Tank? I can remember the name of the album. It was called Abominog. I can't remember who did that one now.
Oh, that was that the super band?
No, they were a rock band.
Yeah.
Winds of Change, yeah, that was Scorpions. But I always remember this.
Uriah Heep did Abominog.
No, it's not their version. It was a picture disc, and it was a picture of a three-headed wolf, and it was called Abominog. I can't remember the name of the band now. They weren't a very well-known one.
See, I thought you meant Gog Magog.
No. Well, yeah, I'm 54 and ready for. Well, she's the same age as me, Fox. Actually, I think she is the same age as me because she's had a birthday. Carol Vorderman. But I will admit she looks better as a blonde than she did with her dark brown hair that she had originally.
The only one that's coming up, Googling Abominog, is Uriah Heep. It's not showing any other albums with three.
Has it got a picture of the album cover or
It's
the picture?
red with like a devil.
No, that's not the one I'm
Devil's face.
thinking of. It might well have been, I mean, it was so long ago.
And it's just one. Sort of a cross between a monkey's face and a devil.
No, it's not the one I'm thinking of then.
But definitely not a wolf.
Stuart, I wouldn't touch her with a barge pole.
Album 3-headed wolf. Let's see.
See, I can remember the picture disc because I used to have loads of them in the disco box when I used to do the discos. But I was never ever allowed to play them.
That's got more than that's got five eggs.
But she is getting very, very involved with politics now. She has actually got the brain for it. Obviously, she's up there amongst the Mensa crowd, as I used to call them.
Oh, hang on.
I must look it up who it was.
Tank.
Tank.
Filth Hounds of Hades.
That's it. Abominog by Tank.
No, Filth Hound of Hades.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
I seem to remember Abominog being written on the disc. It was a 7-inch single picture disc.
Yeah. Filth Hounds of Hades.
Ah.
Open, stickered and 7-inch UK vinyl LP.
Right, you might as well use a pound and
Worth
paste.
£80 now.
You're kidding me?
No.
Do you know I have fucking hundreds of them picture discs and coloured vinyls?
No, that
Iron
isn't even
Maiden,
a
a
picture
lot of
disc.
them.
That isn't even a picture disc.
Jesus, well, the picture disc must have been worth double that by now.
Because this is somewhere that's selling it.
Yeah, I used to have lots of them picture discs and coloured vinyls. I had Public Image Limited, the collection in the film can. I had, it was Ace of Spades by Motorhead, a special edition that had 2 extra tracks on it. Yeah, I never classed Meatloaf as a heavy rock singer, Jem.
Hang on, I know what I'll do.
He was just like a heavier, middle of the road stuff to me.
Bring me up and I'll share my screen so you can tell me whether it's the right one.
Right, hang on. Just going to bring this W up. Do you want to cancel your
My mic?
Yeah, you.
There we go. Present. Share screen. Share screen. Tank. Where's it gone?
You wouldn't let her drive a tractor.
Is it that one?
That's the one.
See? Tank. Bill finds
But on mine, it had Abominog on it. I seem to remember that for
Unless
some
they
reason.
use the 3-headed wolf on other things, but it would have been a tank. Okay, you can boot me now.
How the fuck do I? Oh yeah, get rid of you. No, I did like Meatloaf in the Rocky Horror Picture Show. That part was made for him, basically, as Eddie the biker. But there again, a lot of people don't realise who the other singer was in there with Little Nell. I mean, she was a kind of a punk singer back in the day. She played the short-haired one of the 2 girls. Can't remember their names now. But yeah, the one with the squeaky, horrible voice. She was a pop artist back in the day. Magenta. Thank you, drone. But there again, you know, you think of what's her name, the actress who played fucking names. My head's going now. It's getting late. Well-known actress that played the blonde one in there. She had quite a good voice when she sang, and she did actually sing that. I've seen the film, and I've also seen the first ever stage show when it toured where they had lasers, Missy. Because that was the one I talked about when I got thrown out the theatre in Oxford for being a dick with the fire hose. So I didn't get to see much of it. Toya and Robert Flip kept me entertained during Dockland. Again, Toya was never one that really interested me, Loafer, to be honest. No, it wasn't Jennifer Lawrence. Actually, Missy, I preferred Leslie Ash in Quadrophenia. And not just because she was an easy lay up the alleyway. But, you know, fair plays to Toya. She still sings. Her and the old man, yeah, they did keep people going through in the lockdown. I believe she still sings now. Don't know whether she tours anymore, but...
Do you know, it's quite difficult looking for tank tracks.
Oh,
You don't get a lot of music.
go out on Salisbury Plain, you'll find a lot of tank tracks there.
You don't get a lot of music.
Yeah, but she was another one that had an awful lot of problems and disability as well in the end, didn't she? Leslie Ash. But there again, she was another one that went with the old trout pout and totally screwed herself up. Oh, yeah, they all did back then, Jen. They all did. Duck clips, yeah. The forerunner of Madonna. But how they could class her as one of the best looking women in the world this year. Unbelievable. I mean, you think she's the same as Cher, most of her face and her own, you know.
Most of Cher isn't her own.
Motorhead did a passable cover of Heroes. Yes, they did. Pingu. Nah, sorry, Gary. I've got a built-in hate of penguins. I don't know why. I just don't like penguins, unless they're the ones covered in chocolate. It's a deep-seated hatred, and I don't know where it ever came from, but...
Nor me, because I'm sure you used to like them.
No, never. Never. I mean, the time you picked up on it was when I said about the Australian ones that follow the same route to the beach every year, and it's a tourist attraction.
Yes.
And I said, well, put a shed in the way with an indoor and an outdoor, and it's like a moving air rifle range. You know?
Yeah.
No, actually, Jen, I did like one or two of Madonna's early tracks. Don't know why, but there you go. She's still gigging. Well, like Cher, most of her is. The mic is currently engaged in a passionate rendition of Wine in Sympathy number 9. And that's ear piercing and highly unappreciated. Can you hear the penguins, Clarice? Would you like to come to dinner? Habin the Cannibal, I used to call him. Because Cannibal just wouldn't come out. Yes, there is, Missy. And I believe that's the way it should be. I mean, when you start having surgery like that, unless it's for a reason of a deformity or something like that, all you're doing is holding up the inevitable. And at the end of the day, when you do die, it's going to make you look even worse. I mean, we've seen this time and time again. That's why I've always said people should grow old gracefully. Yes, we get grey hair. Yes, we lose our hair. But we're honest about ourselves and who we are. There was one, it was one of the actors. He didn't go off on one about it, but he did say that people would, it might even have been a footballer, people were taking the mickey out of his wife because she wouldn't dye her hair and she's gone grey and looked old. I started going grey in my late 20s, early 30s. And I've never even thought of colouring my hair.
Grey's the new black.
She's had a butt lift. Looks like she's wearing a nappy. I mean, it is like that footballer now. Everybody's on his case on social media because his missus is a slightly bigger lady. The guy's happy with her. They've been happy together for years. You know, just because he's in the limelight, they just put hate on people over things like that. And I think it's absolutely disgusting.
That's what I was saying to Resist this afternoon.
Yeah. I mean, what's her name? Is she an Australian actress? One that lost all the weight almost overnight, it looked like. Rebel Wilson. You know, Adele was another one. You know, people are what they are. You know. I started going bald when I was about 21. I've only lost a lot of it. What would you say in the last 10 years? Because I still had a good head of hair when we met, didn't I?
Yeah.
But, you know, I'd never go down the route that Dan did. Obviously, Dan did his for other reasons. Obviously, he does have mental health issues. We all know that. He's never hidden that. And if it makes you feel better and better about yourself, then, yeah, fair enough. But I've never felt the need for it. You know, I am who I am. You take me as I am, or you don't take me at all. It's as simple as that. And I've always been that way. I've shown photos on here of when I was a fit bloke with all the muscle. I've also shown photos on here of when I was carrying way too much weight and looked like a right chunk. You know, but that's who I was at the time. I didn't deliberately go out to set out to lose weight, and I certainly didn't literally go out set to put weight on. It just happened during my life, and I've always been happy within myself who I am. So, yeah, you've got to, Gary. You've got to accept it for yourself. I've always said before you can be happy with anybody else, you've got to be happy with yourself. But on that score, guys, that's gone 10 o'clock. I have been yawning. My eyes are in and out. They're not too bad at the moment, but if I carry on, I know they're going to get pretty bad pretty quick.
Mine are stinging from looking at a screen most of the day.
Yeah, and it is because I've been looking at screens most of the day today, I think.
That bloody Resists.
Yeah, it's Resist's fault. But I'm going to call that it, guys. Don't forget, Mrs. W live on Friday night, 7 o'clock, usual back channel, back time. And I mean that endearingly, not old bat or dozy bat or anything like that. It's just the old saying, same back channel, same back time. Thank you, everybody, for coming in tonight. It has been a good laugh. I mean, we got a bit of the news out of the way. I will be doing a video tomorrow, obviously, on what Roland said today in his little statement, pointing out what an arse he is. But thank you, everybody, for coming in tonight. It's been an absolute brilliant stream again. I didn't put the link in. I did put out there if anybody wanted to pop up. I'd put the link in the chat, and nobody came back with it. Obviously, Mrs. W couldn't come up because she sat behind me, and it would have caused bloody mayhem
Well, I did pop in
with
for
the
a
two
moment.
computers. But don't forget, it will be her stream Friday. I will be in the background, but it is essentially her stream. She did very well last week without me up on there. And I shall be in the chat, just keeping an eye on things. So until then, people, it's good night from me.
And it's good night from me.
And as always, stay safe, stay strong, and stay free. Take care, people. Are you sure you want to leave the studio? I wouldn't have pressed the fucking button if I didn't.